Hi, my name is Jess. Welcome to my channel. So Chandler from Chandler Ainsley is one of my all-time favorite booktubers. I think she's funny and down to earth and has fire opinions. Honestly, I think our taste is pretty similar, but I wanted to do this video anyway because I think it'll be fun. So Chandler has a series on her channel that's called Taste Test, where she reads other booktubers' favorite books and decides how similar their tastes are. So I thought this would be fun to do with Chandler's favorite books. So over the next week or so, I am going to read Chandler's favorites and see how close our tastes actually align. So the first favorite of hers that I'm going to read is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I found this book through her Guide to Penelope Douglas video. In that video, she mentions that Punk 57 is her all-time favorite romance, so I just had to read it. So this book basically follows Misha and Ryan, who have been sort of pen pals for a really long time since they were kids, but they've never actually met in real life until one day they do, and they have to figure out whether their connection is the same in person as it is on paper. Next, I'm gonna read The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart. This book came from Chandler's favorites of 2019. So this is a new adult romance following Theo, who goes off to college, and once he's at college, he meets the girl of his dreams. The only problem is he has a really hot roommate named Troy, who has also just set his eyes on the same girl. So this one sounds kind of interesting. Not sure I would have picked this one up on my own, but I'm excited to give it a try because Chandler really liked it. Next, I don't think that this could be a very accurate Chandler taste test if I didn't read a Black Dagger Brotherhood book, and so I'm going to read Dark Lover, the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which Chandler claims is one of her top 20 favorite books of all time. So this is basically a paranormal vampire romance, and I'm pretty sure Chandler described it as Twilight, but with all the action and steam and badass females that you could possibly want. So honestly, it sounds great, even though I'm a little bit wary of it. I kind of almost didn't want to read this one just because it's such a long series and I didn't know if I was ready for that commitment, but if I'm gonna do this video, I have to do it, so I'm excited to check it out. Next, I'm gonna read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which Chandler also mentioned in her top 20 favorite books of all time video, and in this video she said this was one of her favorite YA fantasy series of all time. So this book follows Jude, who is a human living in the fairy court. I really have no idea what this book is about other than that I think there is some romance, hopefully, and some political intrigue. I don't really know what else, but I guess I will find out. And then finally, I really wanted to read a male-male romance because I know that Chandler likes these and I also love these. So I took a recommendation from her top male-male romances video, and I'm going to read Rock by Anyata Sunday. So I think this story takes place over kind of a longish period of time, maybe like 10 years or so. It follows these two boys who are kind of like stepbrothers, and I think they have some kind of relationship. I'm not really sure. It sounds a little taboo, but I am not really sure. I also think it sounds good, so hopefully I will enjoy it. Let's get into the reading vlog. Alright, I've started my first book. I'm now 50% of the way into Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I'm liking it so far, but it's also a little bit much for me. So basically the two main characters have been pen pals since they were kids, but they've never met in person. They finally run into each other on a chance encounter. He realizes who she is, but she doesn't realize who he is. And then he ends up going to her school for a while, and he still knows who she is, but she still doesn't know who he is. And it's just kind of like a weird interaction. I don't know when he's gonna tell her who he is. They've started messing around, her thinking he's a different person. I don't know that I really like him as the main character. His name is Misha. He is very possessive and very like controlling of her almost, and like not abusive towards her, but just like humiliating her in front of the class, just being mean to her. Like he's mad at her because she portrayed this persona in her letters and that's totally not who she is in real life, which is actually like the exact opposite. So he's mad because he thinks she's fake and whatever, but he's still really attracted to her. I don't know. And just some of the like sexual content is weird because she's kind of said no a couple times, and I guess she didn't really mean it, but still, I don't really like that. I don't know. I have some mixed feelings about it. I definitely am going to finish it. I probably will finish it up today. I'm listening to it on audio. Definitely is a fun read, and I know it's not that deep, but just feeling a little weird about something, so we'll see how it turns out in the end. Hi, same day, different clothes, less makeup. It's okay. We're gonna roll with it. So I finished Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas, and I am still kind of left with some mixed feelings. So overall, I did enjoy it. I liked the characters. Misha is definitely hot. But I'm still left feeling a little bit icky. Even though I love romance, I personally don't read a lot of explicit heterosexual romance. I know that's a weird thing to say, but when it comes to this kind of content, I kind of like my partners to be on more equal footing. I sound like a sociopath, I know, but reading about traditional female-male relationship, the possessiveness and the controllingness is icky because men and women are on such traditionally uneven footing, and I don't really like those stereotypes being enforced in my romances. Whereas when you're reading about a couple who are the same gender, to me those things don't bother me as much, and I think it's because the partners are on more equal footing, because it's like, okay, we're like mutually agreeing that these are the roles that we're putting ourselves into. Whereas when it is a traditional female-male relationship, it doesn't seem as equal to me, and it doesn't seem like they've decided to be in these roles. It's like they're just automatically in these roles because that's how it's always been. Now, that's just a me thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with this book. I just personally am not into the possessiveness and controllingness when it's a female and male relationship. Just not my thing. All that being said, I'll step down off my soapbox for a minute. I did genuinely enjoy the story, like I mentioned. I think I probably would give it a 3.5 stars. It is not a new favorite for me, but at the same time it was a lot of fun. I did enjoy the characters, and I did enjoy the plot and the story ultimately at its heart. It was a good romance. I just didn't like a couple of the sexual and kink sort of aspects of the story. All right, let's get on to the next one and see if this one is a 5-star. I was fun to be in the video today. So I'm probably a little bit over halfway through Dark Lover by J.R. Ward, which is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I am liking this one more than I thought I would. So basically there's a couple different plot lines going on, but it's at its core a paranormal romance. So there are vampires in this world. Wrath, who is our main love interest, he is the head of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is this group of vampires who are trying to protect the race against the bad guys. Beth, who is our main female character, she has just found out that her father was a vampire, and she's soon going to be turning into a vampire, and so Wrath has seeked her out so that he can kind of help her go through her transition. But yeah, so that's basically the plot. It's definitely also pretty hot, and I definitely like these a little bit better than Punk 57. I don't really know why, because there's still like weird possessiveness going on in this story as well. I can't explain to you what's going on in my head and why I think that this feels different than Punk 57. I have not read enough books like this to know the difference. I also really like the plot and the storyline. It's very like actiony, and like, I don't know, the vampire part is just fun too. I'm having a lot of fun reading this. I think if I had to rate it right now, I would probably give it 4 stars. I'm honestly really enjoying it. So yeah, that's the tea on that. I'll let you know when I am finished reading it. Wow, I'm back. Same hairstyle. So I finished Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. I'm gonna have to give this one a 3-star also. And I am so sad because I really thought I was gonna absolutely love all of these books, because I really thought me and Chandler had very similar tastes, but apparently not. But that's okay. 3 stars means I still enjoyed it. I just thought it was a little bit weird. I'm not here to kink shame, obviously. So I think my problem is, to be honest with you, most of the smut I have read in my life has been in fan fiction. All of my ships are male-male, so this like straight person smut just isn't getting me going the same. That fan fiction just hits a little different though. I don't really know what it is. I'm just a mess. It's okay. We're fine. We're all good here. So I liked the vampire aspect. I thought that was really cool. My favorite character was by far Z. So I think it was just like the romance aspect is very like dominating and intense. I'm not into that. I kind of like the fluff around my smut a lot more than was in this book. So I think that was one of the major reasons why I wasn't completely behind the romance. It was hot, don't get me wrong, but at the same time I didn't really understand why they were together other than that they liked to fuck each other. I think that dampened my enjoyment of this a little bit. But honestly, I really did like the vampire aspect and the vampire politics. I thought it was really cool. And I liked how they were like a vampire mafia. Like, I was really into that. So I might keep reading and see if I like the series as it progresses more, and if it like follows different characters throughout, that would be cool. So that's my thoughts on that. And I am also now 50% of the way through The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a YA fantasy fairy series, and it follows this girl named Jude who is a human but has been raised in fairy, and everybody in fairy kind of thinks of her as weaker because she's mortal, and so she's trying to kind of find her place in fairy. And the youngest prince is like the same age as her, and he and his friends like torment her, which kind of sucks, but she's like trying to stand up to them. She's got this weird romance going on with this kid named Locke, who is one of the prince's friends, which is weird because I thought like Carden and Jude are gonna end up together, and I think that they do. I don't know what she's doing with Locke. Honestly, I think Locke's gonna propose marriage to her sister, so I don't know why he's around with her, to be honest with you. Honestly, this has been kind of hard to get into for me. I don't really know why. I think because there's not a lot happening. Like, it's just a lot of world building and like going about their daily lives. Nothing really exciting is happening. I'm not really feeling the romance aspect yet, which I think that this series does have some in it. But I also have heard people say that the series gets better as it goes along, that the first book's not quite as strong as the rest of the series. So that might be factoring into this as well. I don't know why I decided to start so many series in this video, but whatever. If I had to rate it right now, I think I would give it another 3-star. Like, I'm enjoying it fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not super absorbed in it, and I'm already halfway through. So that's where I stand with that one. I'll probably finish it up tonight or tomorrow and let you know what I ultimately think about it. Okay, I just finished The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I honestly really liked the second half a lot better than I liked the first half. It really started picking up once you hit book 2, the second part. So I ended up really enjoying it, and the end was crazy. I'm like, oh my god, I cannot believe what happened. I was like, whoa. I thought that she was gonna like pull something, but it definitely was a good twist. And I really like Jude and Carden's relationship. It is so dynamic and interesting, especially because they like hate each other, but also like hate to be attracted to one another. It's just really an interesting dynamic. I'm excited to read the rest of the books and see where that goes, and also to just see where all of the political stuff goes. I didn't like the first half of the book because it was kind of slow. It was a lot of world building. Not a lot was happening. It was just kind of like everybody was puttering around, but I guess it did set up a lot of what was to happen in the second half, so I can see what it was trying to do. Now, I still think that it could have been a little bit more actiony from the get-go, but ultimately I'm going to settle with 4 stars for this book. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the next ones, and I am very glad that I read this one. Got a little bub making an appearance right there. So I'm now halfway through The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart. Again, this one's just okay for me. Oh my gosh, I'm such a picky I don't know why. So basically this follows a guy named Theo, and he is kind of like the nice guy, and he like is in college and he just loses his virginity, and it was like a horrible experience, and he really wants to like hold out for the right girl. So he ends up meeting this girl, and at first she kind of friend zones him, but then they like start to like each other and stuff, and like it's cute. I really do like their relationship. I like the love interest Lainey as a character. She's fun and kind of country and is cute. There's this weird like side plot going on where they have this like weird project, and she like has made this Twitter for her communications class. It's like supposed to be documenting their like real life. It's gotten all these followers, which I think is kind of weird because like the shit they've been posting is stupid. I'm like, this is a little unrealistic. I don't really know where that's gonna go. But Theo also has some issues with his roommates, particularly his one roommate named Troy, I believe. And he's just kind of like ladies' man player, always having girls over, yada yada yada. And Theo's like on his high horse about it. Theo's a little bit tiring with his like nice guy routine. It's a little annoying. But overall, he does treat Lainey really nice, takes care of her really well. So I do like that. Like, they are cute together. They have like good chemistry and decent banter, although some of it's a little bit cringe. So overall, I am enjoying this, but it's still not something I'm loving. So I think if I had to rate this one right now, I would also give it a 3-star. Oh, Chandler, I'm sorry. I don't know why I am having such an average reading vlog of all of these. But anyway, I will let you know my final thoughts once I finish this book. The audiobook is going pretty quick, so I shouldn't take too much long to read it, and then we'll be moving on to our final book. And I've saved the book that I think is going to be my favorite for last, so we'll see if that's true. I kind of am hoping that I'm going to pull out of this with a 5-star at the end, but we'll see. So yesterday I finished The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart, and ultimately I think that this is going to be my least favorite of the whole challenge, so I'm going to settle on a 2-star rating for this one. I ended up not really enjoying it very much at all. So as I mentioned before, the main guy character was just a little bit too I'm such a nice guy for me. I liked him during a couple scenes throughout, and I could see why the female love interest was attracted to him and liked him, but ultimately he annoyed me more than I liked him. And then especially at the end, when there's the whole big blow up angst scene that separates them right before they get back together in the end, it was way too much angst for me, and he did something that was just like felt very unforgivable to me, especially considering I didn't like him much to begin with. I found it really hard to want the main love interest to forgive him and get back together with him, because I was like, no, screw him, like he's a jerk. Forget about him, girl, you don't need him, he's not worth it. All romance books have the same sort of plot progression where the relationship builds throughout and then there's some big climax blow up and then they like get back together in the end. For me, when this misunderstanding at the end, this like climax is so angsty, I don't like it. When this big misunderstanding happens, it should be that all the reader wants is for them to get back together. Where in this book, I did not feel like that. I did not really want them to get back together because I didn't really like the main love interest, and I thought that this fight that they had, he was so much more at fault than she was, and it was really stupid that they had this fight at all to begin with, and so I just wasn't vibing with it. So ultimately, I gave it 2 stars. I really didn't love this one, but that's okay. Moving on to the last book. So I'm now 50% of the way through Rock, and this one I am really loving. Finally, I'm so glad I'm actually liking one of these. Well, I really liked The Cruel Prince, but this one I think right now, if I had to rate it, I would give it 5 stars. I really am loving the characters. They are so adorable and so interesting and so unique, and this story is really cool because it's about these 2 stepbrothers. Well, they're not stepbrothers. Their parents aren't married. Their parents are like together as boyfriend and girlfriend. So these 2 boys are kind of like pseudo stepbrothers, and this book spans I think about 10 years from like 12 to 22 or so, the characters' ages, where they kind of grow up together. And there's a lot of like angst and stuff and pining, and I just love it. I just eat this shit up, honestly. I love me a good male-male romance. Honestly, there's nothing better in the world. And this one is just written so well. I really like the writing style. It's really easy to read and quick, and there's not like a bunch of excess. It's like just what you need. It's perfect. It's beautiful. I'm really loving it. Cooper is a cinnamon roll. He's adorable and sweet, and I just want to hug him. And the love interest is also a really great character. I really like him as well. They still are kind of like getting their bearings and figuring out what they mean to each other. And it's just a really interesting romance because, I mean, it's kind of got that forbidden taboo element, though not really. But their dynamic is just great. They're really great as friends. They're really cute and really sweet to each other. And I just am loving reading this. And I hope that I continue to do so and that this ends up being a 5-star for me, because that would be exciting. Alright, I'm gonna keep reading and I'll let you know when I'm finished. Okay, so I finished Rock by Nyada Sunday, and honestly, I really liked this one. I think that this is going to be a 5-star read for me. Right after like the 50% mark of the book, it gets real angsty real quick. I like had to take a break from reading it because I was like, I cannot handle this. I need a second to breathe and like process what's going on. Whew. The like twist that happens right after the 50% mark is very interesting and very angsty, let me tell you. This definitely won't be the book for everyone. Even though they're only like pseudo stepbrothers, it is fairly taboo of a romance. I'm not gonna lie, just warning you in advance. But as I said before, we're not here to kink shame, alright? So honestly, I just really loved this. I really loved both Cooper and Jace as characters, and I really liked watching their relationship. This is definitely a slow burn romance. It takes place over about 12 years, I think, and it definitely is like painfully slow burn in the best possible way. And I just think the characters are so sweet and so like right for each other, and I just really enjoyed reading their story. Nyada Sunday is a really beautiful author. Like, her writing was so pleasant to read. The way she wrote the book, it's very centric to the relationship, and there's not a lot going on around it. I thought that created such a unique mechanism for explaining how all-consuming this relationship was to the characters. Like, there's a ton of action going on in the story and like timeline progression going on, but it's all in the background and very not central to the focus of the story. And I feel like it really made you, the reader, understand just how all-encompassing this was for both of these characters. And I just really thought it was beautifully done. It's also pretty hot, obviously, but like in a perfect way where like the smut is balanced with the fluff and the angst and everything else. And it's just a really, really good story if you like this kind of thing. So yeah, that's that. I am very happy that I read this one. I'm very happy I actually found a 5-star out of this video because I was getting a little worried. I thought this was a super fun experiment, and it was super fun to read some of Chandler Ainsley's favorites because she is my favorite booktuber, and so it was kind of cool to see whether how much I liked her videos matched up with how much I liked her recommendations. Just to wrap up really quick, so the first book I finished was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This I kind of think, now that I've done a little bit more research into it, is like what's termed as a bully romance, where the guy like hates this girl. He's just really mean to her throughout. I didn't really like that aspect of it personally. I like my romances a little bit more fluffy. That's okay. I still pretty much enjoyed it, and it was hot and fun to read, etc, etc. So I gave that one 3 stars. The second book I finished was Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is a paranormal romance, and it focuses on vampires, and there's like this vampire mafia kind of thing that like protects vampires. I liked this one as well. I thought it was fun, but it was another 3-star for me just because the romance didn't quite do it for me. It was way more focused on the sex aspect, and there wasn't enough fluff, and there really wasn't enough relationship building, so I like understood why these two even liked each other. Like I didn't get it other than like a raw sexual chemistry between them, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I like a little bit more to my romance, if that makes sense. Then the third book I finished was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I ended up really enjoying this one. I really don't remember what I said in my wrap-up clip, but this one is getting a 4-star from me. First 50% I thought was boring, but then once the 50% mark passed, maybe like even the 60% mark, I started to get more into it and the plot started moving. Main characters that I think are ultimately going to be love interests started interacting a lot more. Always like some love interest interactions. So because the first half of the book was so boring, I couldn't give it a 5-star, even though by the end I really liked it, and I really liked the twist at the end, and I can't wait to see where else the series goes. I am definitely going to read the next couple books very soon. Then the fourth book I finished was The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart. This one was a 2-star for me. This was a new adult type of romance. I didn't really enjoy it because I didn't like the male love interest. I thought he was annoying. He was that classic nice guy trope, and I honestly wasn't a fan. I thought he really up way too much in the end for her to forgive him and them to magically get back together. I don't know, just me. And then finally the last book I finished was Rock by Anyata Sunday. This is again a male-male romance following these two boys who are kind of like pseudo stepbrothers and eventually do become real stepbrothers, but it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. This one got 5 stars from me. Like sounds a little weird from the description, but honestly it was really beautifully written. I loved the characters and I loved their relationship, and I thought it was just really good. I liked it. So those are the 5 books I read for this experiment. I definitely think we learned that me and Chandler have maybe differing tastes when it comes to the romance tropes that we like, but I think that we have similar tastes when it comes to YA fantasy and male-male romance, so that's fun. I'm glad I got some good recommendations from this video, even though I didn't like everything. That's okay. Not everybody can have 100% similar tastes, but anyway, this was super fun to film, and I really appreciate you watching it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Also, all relevant links, including my social media, as well as any of Chandler's links and the books mentioned in this video, will all be linked in the description down below. And thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.